Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Snom. Today's hosts are Corey Cather, he is the Regional Account Manager, as well as Simon Bradbrook, he is their Sales Engineer, and both of them will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Corey and or Simon will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Corey, Simon, thank you so much for being with us today. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for having us. And Simon, thank you for joining us today as well.
Thank you, Corey, and thank you, Julie.
So we wanted to take a few moments to briefly go over the Snom line from VTech and touch on some of the advantages of Snom, as well as show some augmentations to the line that are coming out, and then some new products that will be coming out in the end as well. So we'll briefly touch on all the current products and then show you some new products that are coming. So Snom is a company that was purchased by VTech in 2016. One advantage we have is the full end-to-end support from engineering, design, manufacturing. That's all done in-house. So it's all done from Berlin, Germany, North American engineering in the US and in Canada, as well as in Hong Kong and manufacturing in Hong Kong and China. We have a full range of products, so desk phones, decked phones, single cell and multi-cell decked, conference phones, and even PA1 broadcast product that you guys may be familiar with. One of the strengths we have in our products is our 3-year warranty, and that's true on the decked product as well as all of the conference phones. So the decked mics, the products that you're carrying around in your hand, all of those products have a 3-year warranty with them. And again, one of our big advantages is really our North American based teams. So we have teams here that include engineering, research and development, our product teams, sales teams throughout the US and Canada, and our marketing team is here in the US, and our tech support, this is a big one, our tech support is also here in North America. So we have a phone number and an email address that you can reach our tech support if you run into any challenges or issues, as well as our sales engineer, Simon, here as well. One of the things we have that's a big advantage is we have things in stock. That's a huge advantage right now. We have a warehouse in San Antonio, Texas, and so we ship to our distribution from San Antonio, Texas. So I will have Simon is going to cover our decked product, and he will go into what's currently available. We'll touch on some of the main features and some of the advantages of that, and then we'll look at our desk phones as well. Simon, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Corey, and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everybody out there. I think I've covered the gamut there of where we might be in the world. So as I was introduced, I'm the sales engineer for the service provider team in North America. If you have any difficult questions, ask Corey, and he'll give me all the easy ones. So we're going to move on to now our Snom deck solutions. We've got a whole gamut of solutions, whether they be small business solutions right the way up to large enterprise solutions. So we're going to start off with the decked M100 keyline emulation solution. So this is actually quite a unique decked offering. It's one of the great things about the marriage, if you like, between VTech and Snom. When VTech purchased Snom, we brought in the quality of the Snom SIP stack, and then we were able to use with some of the technologies that VTech has developed over the year, and deck being one of those. And with the M100, we've got like a perfect solution really for that small business. And I say it's emphasis on the S because it really is for the small micro business, restaurant and retail space. And there's some differentiations with this product that I'm going to get into as we go along. But it's basically, it supports up to 6 concurrent calls with the base station, which is actually quite unique in the decked market. We've got an option here for multi-line appearance, again, which I'm going to get into more detail on the next slide, but it basically another differentiation with this product. Everything in the product range is actually cordless, so it's got battery backup. So for a small restaurant somewhere, they could use one of the devices as at the greeting table, but there's no need to run cable or wiring out there because basically completely cordless.
And
The
that's
talk
true of
time that
the
you get,
desk set as well, so which is nice. So you could literally take, if the desk set is charged with its battery, you could just pull the phone itself up to the front desk. So excellent point.
absolutely. Thanks, Corey. So we've got 7 hours of talk time with the battery, and it's 9 hours of talk time, and it's excuse me, I can't even read properly here. So it's 7 hours of talk time for the desk set and 9 hours of talk time for the handset. The handsets also come with a ruggedized option. So for that large kitchen somewhere, staff members can carry it around. It's not waterproof, but it is water resistant. So if it fell into the sink, you could fish it out quickly and it would still be working. If we can go to the next slide, Corey, and I'll just go into some more detail about what the differentiations are with this product. So as I said in the title, it's called the M100 keyline emulation mode. So what this does is, if you remember back in the day, and I'm probably talking to some of the old telco people out there, key system solutions where basically calls would come in, lines would light up, and basically you tell someone that the call feeds for them on line 1, line 2. We've actually taken that technology and we've added it into our DECT handsets, and there's nobody out there that's actually doing this at the moment. There are other manufacturers that say they do this, and they do to a point, but it's basically nothing more than advanced call park. So it's a lot of like provisioning on the back end to make this happen. With the M100, all of this actually comes built into the base station. What we do is we give you an option here to share one of the registered accounts that comes in. And when all the handsets share that, basically they get line indications of whether the line's busy, whether there's a call coming in. So then, like I say, this makes it emulate that old-fashioned key system. There's also built-in paging functionality. So as if you're answering a call on line 1, you can place that call on hold, then go to the paging options, and you can either page a handset directly to sell someone specifically that there's a call for them, or you can do a system page. How we do this is, as I said, we set up for line sharing on the back end of the base station itself, which means that any handset that's associated to that count sees these calls coming in. We support 6 concurrent calls, and this is where it allows us to do this, because with the one line coming in with 6 concurrent calls, we've got 4 actual line keys. So that's how we're able to do this. This system also works in more of a standard solution, DECT solution way, whereas what I mean by that is each handset would have its own extension. And the 2 models can actually be mixed and matched. You can install them in a hybrid solution. So you could have actually, in a restaurant, you could have one shared line with 4 handsets with individual lines. But this is, like I said, is perfect for that small business solution. Restaurant and retail specifically, we see a lot of success in here because there's limited training. So as you've got a high turnover of staff, there's nothing easier than saying, well, when that line flashes, you've got to answer it, and then you place it on hold and tell someone to pick up that line. So a nice, easy, simple installed solution and easy to use. So if we move on then, Corey. Now we're going to go more up market, and we're going with our M900 base station, which is actually a multi-cell solution. This is that true enterprise quality solution for the large installation. It might be a sports arena, it could be a large warehouse or distribution center, where again, staff need to be communicating, but they're often wandering around in areas where under normal circumstances with DECT, you might not even be getting a signal. But because this is multi-cell, that takes that out of the picture. And the scalability is that for one base station, you can have up to 30 handsets per base station. Each base station will support 10 concurrent calls in narrowband and 5 in wideband. This is scalable up to 1,000 base stations with 4,000 handsets. One of the other nice features that we have with this, it's ideal for that multi-campus solution, whether that be a hospital or that be a school or a university. And one of the ways that we're able to do this is we have something in the system which is called LAN sync. What I mean by that is as you build out the network to put these DECT stations into, each one of the stations is actually talking to each other through the deck channels. So basically it's over-air syncing. In a situation where you've got multiple buildings, what we're able to do is we can do something called a LAN sync, and that's where you daisy chain the last base station in building A to the first base station in building B. And that basically makes sure that then the signaling is true, and then you can go across multiple buildings. We get down to the handsets. These are the three most popular handsets. Now, each one of these has support for Bluetooth. The M70 is ruggedized, but it's not IP65 certified. So again, ruggedized, water resistant, but not waterproof. It's been tested to a 2-meter drop test. And then we get into the fully ruggedized handsets, which are both IP65 certified. It's the M80 and the M90. The M90, as you can see, is actually a slightly different color, and this is where we're targeting for our healthcare because it's actually antibacterial. So it's easy to wipe down with an alcohol wipe. But basically, there's an ingredient in the plastic mold, which essentially means that bacteria cannot stick to the surface, so it just drops off. So word of warning, I wouldn't put your hands down below it because that bacteria drops off and that can be quite nasty. One of the other things, though, that one of the key things with these handsets as well is, though, you can't really see it on this picture, but at the top there's a red button, which is basically a panic button. And essentially, this is a speed dial through to your emergency services or wherever you deem that these. So in the situation of like a large warehouse, something falls on somebody, they can press that and then they're easily located. And with that, I'll pass off over to you, Corey, again.
Thank you, Simon. So I wanted to touch briefly on the conference phone solutions we have. The C520 has been kind of our staple. So that is the model with the 2 removable mics. Those can be placed anywhere in the room there on the conference table to cover a little bit more area. So one of the challenges when you have people in a conference room, and especially nowadays where people are sitting further apart, you need to be able to, hear everybody that's in that room. So the people that are at the end of the conference table, you can pull out those mics and put them further away on the table, and then the people on the other end of the phone can clearly hear them as well. So the C520 has the removable mics, and then you can also expand it by adding the C52 speakerphone, the expansion speakerphone. So you can add up to 3 of those. The C620 is the decked wireless version of the C520. So it has a large rechargeable battery in it that'll give you 12 hours of wideband talk time. I think it's 24 hours of narrowband. So it'll give you, if you're in a meeting that long, I feel sorry for you, but it will give you plenty of talk time that you'll be able to cover there. So that one can actually be, again, if you're trying to avoid putting holes in a conference table or you need to move to a different area, that one's a little more flexible as well. And that you can also pair the C52 expansion speakerphone with that as well. And this just shows kind of the size of what you'd be looking at. If you have 2 to 8 people, you could cover it with one conference phone. But as you scale, as you get larger or need to cover more people or a larger area, you can add the expansion speakerphones to make sure you have a big enough footprint there. And then our staple, which we have these everywhere. So I think most people are familiar with the PA1. It's been a tank. It's been our bulletproof model for the last, I don't know how many years, but just reliable. Obviously, you have different ways of connecting it to for an extension or to speakers or amplifier, and you have 4 SIP identities you can run with that. We'll touch on too, there's a updated version of this coming out later this year, which is something we'll get into here in a bit. So the desk phones, our D700 series is our standard line. Our D717 is our entry-level piece into the 700 series currently. Again, one nice thing with these D700 series, they are currently all in stock in San Antonio in our warehouse. The D717 and all of the D700 series, again, have a 3-year warranty. They all have a solid state hook switch, which improves reliability. You don't have a mechanical switch or anything else that can wear out. Any of these all have a USB port. They all have the ability to add up to 3 of the sidecars to them as well. So even this D717, you can add the sidecar to. The 717 has 3 programmable keys and 6 SIP accounts, so it is a little more of a base model. The 735, you go up to 8 programmable keys on the face, and you have 4 pages of programmable keys. So you have a total of 32 programmable keys on this guy. You still have, well, you jump to, I should say, 12 SIP accounts on this one as well. When you go to the 785, you're going to add Bluetooth into the model. You're going to a dual display. So you have a larger screen for one. For two, your BLFs, your programmable keys, are down below on a secondary screen. So it takes up less room on your main screen with your call actions up there. This model, again, which we'll go into, there's a new version of this, which we'll touch on here in just a second. So one of the other advantages you have is with all these having a USB port, they have the ability to use the USB Wi-Fi dongle. So with any of these models and a power supply, you can move them anywhere, work from home, move them into an area where you're struggling to get a drop for a network cable. You can use the Wi-Fi dongle. With that USB port, there's also a DECT dongle, so it's an either or. You could use the DECT dongle and use one of those phones as a kind of an executive conference phone. So the DECT dongle would plug into the USB port, and then the DECT dongle will pair with the C52 expansion speakerphone. And then this has been our monochrome sidecar, which has 18 programmable keys to it, and you can have up to 3 of those paired with a single phone. So we get into the new D700 series. The D700C is currently available. It is now in the warehouse. So this is an enhancement for us. This adds 3 pages of programmable keys. So you have 48 programmable keys on here. And you can do the same thing where you can pair up to 3 of them on a single phone. So on a single phone, you can add 1 and it will have enough power to power the unit. If you need to go to 2 or 3, you just need to add an additional power supply. But just as a comparison, that is the same, it has the same look and feel of all the D700 series phones. And a new model we're going to have here shortly, we expect this in May, June, is a D713. What it will add is, or I should say, what it'll add is it'll go to 4 programmable keys on the side. What it'll remove is the USB port. So you will lose the ability to use the Wi-Fi and or the DECT with this model, but it will be at a better price point with an additional programmable key. And here's the D785N that I referred to. So what the N refers to is the removal of the Bluetooth. We found that not everybody's using the Bluetooth. So to have a more attractive model in this price point, we offered the option of having a D785N. This model we do expect them to be available in May. This, again, same features as the D785 with the dual screen, same size screen, 12 SIP accounts. Really, the large difference is just the Bluetooth. It has been removed from the phone itself. So this will be referred to as a D785N. And then we're going to give you a sneak peek of our new series, which is the D800. So some of the features that we've got, you can see the D865 is one of the first new models that will be coming out. But you can see from the look and feel of it there what it looks like compared to a D785. Some of the differences are going to be the tilt screen. So the D800 series will all have a tilt screen so you can adjust it for better viewing. The screen will be larger. It'll go to a 5-inch color display. There will be touchscreen models that will be available and eventually video as well. The face plates on the new models will also be replaceable, and that's important if you are wanting to brand your own. So there will be the ability to brand individual service providers and partners that will be able to put their own company logo on there. So where it says Snom there, that whole cover would lift off and you'd be able to have new labels printed and replace the cover on there. They will, for the most part, there's one base model. The rest of them will have 2 USB ports as well as have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Again, there'll be a base model that does not have the Bluetooth or USB, but the rest of the models coming after that will. Simon had mentioned antibacterial surface. There's the new models in the phone in the D800 series will also have an antibacterial surface.
I think actually, Corey, moving forward, everything is going to be antibacterial plastic.
Yeah, good. So we kind of covered the features on this, but just a closer look here is, you know, this would be the base model, would be the first model we would likely see, which is the D862. The model here is going to have just a single USB port. It will have the ability to go to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth by adding a dongle. But other than that, again, it won't have it built in. We're expecting that in Q3 at this point. The D865 is the model that will have integrated Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So they will be built in, and you'll have additional SIP accounts you can add in there as well. And you'll go to 2 USB ports. So eventually what we will do is you'll see larger screens. We'll set some 8-inch screens, some touch screens, some video capability, and even potentially some cordless ability in there as well. But that's what's coming this year in the way of desk phones. So this product is actually pretty exciting. So I'm gonna let Simon steal the excitement on this guy, the new M500 wireless office.
Thanks, Corey, for letting me steal your thunder there. So this is basically the next generation of the M100 DeX solution that I talked about originally. Obvious differences, you can see we've got color screens now. We brought the product into this century at long last, which is good news. But one of the other major things that's going to stand out here is that we've got multi-cell capability with this product. Now, the reason we've gone for multi-cell with an SMB solution is for the following reasons. Very simple, because when you know, a lot of DeX products have repeaters, and our M100 product also has a repeater. The problem is when you use repeaters, you can actually run into different issues. There's always a limitation about how many concurrent calls can be supported in a repeater zone. And it can generally add, you know, you're using up a DeX channel there. So whereas you might have had 5 DeX channels, you've suddenly gone down to 4, simply because of the fact that you've added a repeater into the mix. So this is why we went for a multi-cell solution here, to basically stop all of those limitations you get with a repeater, but still extending the service. So as you can see, as I said, the desk set and now the handset have color screens. A couple of the other big things that we should note is that the desk set itself is going to actually look and feel like a real SIP desktop. And this is one of the many things that's going to make this whole solution a little bit of a game changer. You're going to have 8 programmable function keys on the screen, and you're going to have 3 pages of those. What this is going to allow you to do is, if you wanted to work in the keyline emulation mode, you will be able to program those keys to be line appearances of other devices on the network. But one of the other things that we're bringing here is to make it look and feel like an actual desk set is technical challenges we've always had over the years. Lots of people like to use BLF, the busy lamp filled. You can see when your staff or your co-workers are busy or not busy, transfer and receive calls using those BLF buttons. The problem is with that BLF signal, that is a SIP signal down to the base. And then the challenge was always, well, how do we get that signal over to the handsets? Well, what we've done is we've actually developed a method where we're kind of emulating that BLF in the DeX environment. So what this allows you to do is actually you can actually create a small office in a box solution, and it's going to be DeX. So it's going to be cordless. There'll only be the cords that go to the base stations. All of the handsets, all of the desk sets are going to be cordless. So it just gives you that opportunity where you've got an office where maybe Cabling is difficult to run, or it's a brand new setup and they don't want to go through the expense of having to run the cable. With this wireless office in a box, you're going to give them something that they can basically use, and it can be used and work functionally. Both the handsets and the desk sets are going to come with integrated Bluetooth. So rather than using a DECT headset, we're going to use Bluetooth headsets because, again, you're not taking away from the DECT channels, so that the system itself stays true. I talked about this being multi-cell, so the system is actually going to support up to 6 base stations. Each base station is going to be able to support 8 SIP accounts. So basically, that's going to give you 48 SIP accounts. I think when you look at most installations, you're talking between 15 to 20 seats. So 3 base stations is going to cover most of those installations if you're interested. As we talked, there's a bit more at the product itself in a bit more detail. As I said, it's 8 DECT accounts per base station, total of 48 accounts because it's up to 6 base stations. Each base station is going to support 8 concurrent calls. That's in narrowband mode. Obviously, if it's in G722 wideband, that halves down to 4. The architecture of the product is that everything is going to be provisioned on the primary base station. And as you add additional base stations to the network, it automatically syncs back to the primary base station. Here's a bit of a closer look at the handset itself. As I said before, you've got the keyline functionality, so it's still a good fit for that small restaurant, pizza shop, retail outlet. But again, we've got the color handsets. One of the other additions we've got here is we've got now 6 actual line keys on the handset, as opposed to the 4 on the M100. And there's also going to be 3 additional soft keys that are going to be provisionable. And a closer look again at the desk set. And as I said, you can see there we've got a nice big 5-inch screen, 8 programmable keys. So as I said, if you wanted to work in keyline mode, that's easily supported. But if you wanted to use this as a cordless office, you will be able to do that as well. Because as I said, we've added the option for BLF emulation across DECT. So it's something that's going to sit nicely in any office out there. Target availability for this is actually June this year. That's when the product's going to be GA. At initial launch, we're only going to be supporting a dual cell scenario, but by the end of the year, it's going to be up to the maximum of 6 base stations. And again, as we said before, everything now moving forward is going to be built with antibacterial plastic. So this would actually be a perfect solution for that doctor's office or a dentist's office.
Excellent. And again, just to reinforce, this can be used as both KLE, but also just as a standard DECT SIP handset, right? So you've got programmable keys. It doesn't necessarily have to be used in KLE mode.
No, correct. The only challenge there is we get with the M100 is you've got the line keys and they light up to let you know there's an incoming call. Mm-hmm. But what you don't know is what that line key is provisioned for. So the handset is often the better option to do the keyline emulation because you know that the flashing lamps mean, oh, that there's an incoming call, or that calls for me. Yeah. Whereas with the desk set, you can actually use it in like a proper office environment with those function keys set up as you would normally do with a regular desk phone.
Excellent. Well, I think the last, excuse me, I should pass this back to Simon here. The last product we had is...
or the cough?
Either.
No, I'm okay without it, thanks. But
so the last product we have an update on is the PA1 will become a PA1 Plus later in the year. Really, everything about it, it looks really different from the PA1. All the outside, everything's going to be identical. What we're doing is we're updating the chipset. So the chipset in there will be the same as the one we're using, the D735. So more readily available, easily accessed. And then we are adding a 600 ohm output for better amp compatibility as well. So there's not a lot of change overall as far as the features, functionality of it. So it will be called the PA1 Plus, will be the new model for that guy. If you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out to us as well. But we do have, if you'd like to become a partner, there's new partner registration you can find on our Snom America's website. Again, reinforcing that we have live support, tech support, so the phone number's up there as well. If you have any questions when you're trying to set up your initial provisioning or set up an install, you can reach out to that live support number there or email. And then of course we have the Snom Service Hub, which is sort of kind of like the wiki of where everything is, what everything does. And I think that wraps it up today. That covers most of our current product as well as our new product that's coming. Some of it's new that's here, some of it will be here shortly. And Simon, again, thanks for joining. And then Julie, if you're still with us, I think that covers it.
Thank you very much, Corey and Simon, for that wonderful presentation. And yes, I do have a couple questions from the audience, so let's go and jump into that. First question here for you guys is, can the battery be replaced on desk sets? If yes, can third-party batteries be used for on the go?
Yes and yes. Yes, they can absolutely be replaced. The new M500, they're lithium batteries for the handsets, and yes, we can replace those. And yes, the handsets for the M100 also replaceable batteries. I would imagine you could probably buy them third party, but at the same time, extra batteries required. It's not something that's difficult to get out of our distribution channel.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Simon. Next question for you guys regarding the D7C. Does it come with a power port / adapter just in case that the customer may want this away on the phone, or it needs to be connected to the side of the phone?
So it would need to be, the first one can be connected to the side of the phone, and it's going to come with the short cable to connect it to do that. It does not come with the additional power supply. So when you go to a second or a third, you will need to purchase an additional power supply to power those up.
Thank you so much, Corey. Next question here for you guys. Does a customer need a minimum number of a purchase qualified for the branding option on the phone?
Likely, but we haven't sorted that all out yet at this point. So the details of that are still in the works. The plan would be, though, that is done here in the US, as opposed to right now. That's where it's a challenge, because the number is much higher, because they need to be manufactured and come that way from overseas. So when these come out, we will have the plan as far as where and how much and what the minimum quantities are and that sort of thing. That is still all TBD officially at this point, but it is in the works right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Corey. Next question here. Is the D865 touchscreen Bluetooth compatible?
Yes.
Thank you so much. A few more questions here. Next one. What are the warranties? Oh, the Snom device warranties. I remember you did mention that they were 3 years. Is that for every item, and what is included in that 3-year warranty?
So it's not accessories. It wouldn't include, say, a power supply, but any of the hardware devices themselves, and that includes the deck product. Now, if you find that it's thrown against a wall in 1,000 pieces, well, that's a different story. But from defect, absolutely. If it's the phone, if it's the conference phone, if it's even the handsets, all of those are a replacement warranty. So within 3 years, they would just simply, you would call our customer support, they would walk you through some troubleshooting, get all the details, and they would simply have you send it back and issue a replacement for it.
One of the other things I'd just like to add about that, and working in support, this is actually a bit of a godsend, really. but it's an advanced replacement. So we're not waiting for you to send back product to us before we will replace it. As soon as it's determined that there's an issue with the hardware, a new model is actually shipped directly to you with shipping details for sending back the old one.
Yeah, which is huge, actually. Good point, Simon.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Last question here for you. Will Snom work with M18 KLE with third-party headsets?
They will. The M18 will work with third-party headsets, but they have to be corded, and it has to be the 2.5mm jack.
Thank you so much, Corey and Simon, for answering those questions for us today. And thank you so much for putting up the information on tech support and information about your warranties, which is some of the most common questions. So we appreciate that. And thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep here at Microcom at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us shortly, or perhaps coming up very soon, at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you so much for all of your time and pertinent and informative information today. Corey, Simon, you're welcome. Have a fabulous rest of your day. And until next time, we will talk again.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.